you want to get to a point mentally where like this is the only option. There is no like I'm gonna go find a job or I'm gonna go apply for a job. It's like this is it. Like, and if it's not working, like be flexible, figure out what your options are, put the work in and like make it happen. I think if you're not in the right environment or have the right mindset, I mean this thing could be pretty tough on some or most, and it's just much easier to get a paycheck every 2 weeks. And if there's a better option than me, go for it. There's enough business around here. There's no lack of business. Like people are still selling houses in the markets like this. Like what are you complaining about? Like how many listings just came on the market today? That's X amount of conversations you weren't in. Go get in those conversations. Go get in those interviews. So it's like just going from a lack mindset to abundance.
Do you know where the current market is right now? And can you speak on it a little bit and maybe some common fears that you've been noticing, maybe some opportunities that most people aren't really paying attention to based on what the market looks like right now? Does this upcoming political campaign really affect it? Should people be waiting? Should people just not even like take that as a consideration? I know it's a lot of questions, but
yeah.
Dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it truly depends on who you ask. I mean, my personal perspective on it with the political, I guess, environment that we're in, does it take effect? Could it affect things? Maybe, maybe not. I think it comes down to if you can, what your goals are. If your goals are to buy something, getting clear on what your comfort level is in terms of what you can afford monthly and where you want to be, and if you can make it happen, like that's always the best time to purchase in that avenue. I think in terms of selling, if you need to make a move, great. If you want to make a move and it's still within your comfort zone, in terms of what you'll be selling your property for, is your goal to relocate to another area? Is your goal to maybe purchase another investment property? Like it really just depends and is subjective to each person. So, I mean, could the political race make a difference? Maybe. I don't know. We're still selling houses. Like some hot topics that are kind of rolling around right now are like interest rates. They're a little bit higher in comparison to the last few years. Is that stopping people from purchasing homes? No. Again, depends who you ask. I think it's very opportunistic right now for buyers because you have a less competition in the market, because some people will be sidelined by some of these fears or just of simply affordability. And others who can afford something will take advantage of less people shopping and purchasing properties, and they will buy something right now. And then when it becomes more affordable, they've already purchased, right? So that's where we're really taking advantage for my clients is, hey, if you can afford it and you're comfortable with it, right now is the best time to buy. Yes, could your brother, sister, mother tell you it's a bad time? Yeah, but they probably most likely bought their house a few years ago. So they're good. So it all typically just comes down to comfort, affordability, what each person or family is capable of paying each month, and then we kind of work from there. Yeah.
It seems like sometimes there are a lot of negative people that say like, oh yeah, like don't buy. Like why would you buy when interest rates are 7%? Isn't it even, it was a lot worse than that, right? Like this is still technically pretty good. 7% is still technically pretty good in the big picture of like 100 years, right?
Yeah, I mean, from information I was able to gather and my own personal research, Yeah, 6, 7, I mean, is pretty average. I think the tough piece to kind of swallow is if you look back at the last 3 years, yeah, I mean, 2% is insane. 2% interest rates during the pandemic was insane. Did I personally capitalize on it? No. Would I want to? Yeah. Heck yeah. 2 versus a 7%. I mean, it's a pretty big jump in affordability and payment per month. But yeah, right now it's pretty, I would say it's a pretty normal market. I think people, as you get more informed, moving away from what we saw the last few years during the pandemic and like the tail end, um, it's pretty, it's normalizing, as they say. But could we always dream and wish that it goes back to 2? Heck yeah. I'm in that boat.
Think it will ever get back to scale?
Never say never, but can't go in the past, can't see in the future. So kind of work with what the market conditions are right now. Move families to that goal if their goal is a purchase or a relocation to another area. But yeah, I mean, I hope the low interest rate boat comes back. That'd be great. But, it is what it is right now, and kind of it is the market conditions, and we go with what we have in front of us. And yeah, that's about it.
How long have you been a realtor, and why did you choose being a realtor?
Yeah, so licensed, I am about 2.5 years in. I actually began outbound calling and speaking to homeowners and things like that about real estate for probably over 3 years. So I did it prior to getting licensed. So when I got my license, I felt as though I hit the ground running. I already had some knowledge about how conversations went, what were things out there, speaking to the community, what are people talking about with real estate. So I'm very thankful that I jumped in early while I was waiting to get my license. I think that was very advantageous for me, and I had a great opportunity. And in terms of real estate, what caught me was, I believe it was a lot of flexibility. I had worked in a setting where I could create my own schedule, coming from the fitness world, and then kind of not dabbling, I got accepted into nursing school, and was gonna go be a nurse and begin that journey. And I knew exactly how much I was gonna make, and I worked 3 days a week for 12 hours. I knew my schedule was pretty laid out. Like, I knew exactly my dollar sign. So I think the big thing was could I produce that income with real estate? Could I shorten the amount of work that I was doing, be more efficient, and still make the same amount of money? And actually my second year I did. So that was a big piece. And I was starting a family with my wife, and we wanted to, nursing was going to be great because if in hindsight, 3 days on and 4 days off, depending how you arrange it, I mean, that's a lot of time at home. I could help out and hang out with my kid. So I did emulate that in my schedule for real estate, which is great. But I think that in itself, and also just helping and providing information to people for the real estate world, I think it's a big piece. And like I said earlier, I saw a lot of people who owned a lot of real estate had a lot of time, and I wanted time. So yeah, I think a culmination of a lot of those conditions led me to kind of dive deep into real estate. Had a fantastic mentor, coach early on who kind of I was able to see the success and fruits of his labor and work over X amount of years. And, you know, I think my personality, if I see it done, I can replicate it. Just show me the blueprint, show me the steps, show me what I got to do. And I mean, I can execute. I mean, I'm definitely pretty good at that. So.
How old were you when you jumped into this, and how old are you now?
31 now, 30s gang, baby. Started at 28, 27.
How many homes have you sold?
I think we're coming close to 20, maybe 18,
Nice.
I think. 11, yeah, 18 homes. Sick. Yeah.
Talk about this mentorship. What's some really important things that you've learned that's helped you as a realtor, and maybe just help maybe shift your mindset in the sales world, in the real estate world? So I know that they're kind of two separate but also the same. They're the same. They have a lot of overlapping traits.
Mm-hmm.
Just the real estate world than just sales in general, you know? Because you have to be a good seller. You have to be good at sales, closing, communicating.
Yeah.
Was there any overlap with what you learned from your mentor there?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, so this was like my first true sales position, right? I worked in fitness, and you know, people would come to you for gym memberships, and you know, you kind of close them in the back office, but you know, they're kind of interested in working with you because they came to the gym. So here it was like, hey, you got to go from zero and get them to the closing table. So this is my first full like sales position. And I think one of the big things that I saw early on was just like my mindset regarding sales. Like, can you repeat the question?
Yeah.
Give me two parts, because I think there's two there, and I want to answer both.
Yeah, the first part, what are some really quick fire things that you've learned from your mentor that, you know, you obviously saw this person, you wanted to be your mentor?
Yeah. Okay, so a couple things. Number one, I saw I think he had like 5 kids, and he sold a lot of homes, and he helped a lot of families. Like, he definitely was able to, you know, help. When I mean help, I mean he made like goals and dreams, I guess, come into fruition. So, hey, I wanted to sell this house and go to this state. Okay, he was able to help them. Hey, I want to buy a home in this particular area. Great, he was able to help them. And all that with raising 5 kids, I'm like, sick, dude. Like, I definitely like that family life and where he had went with it. Another thing I saw is he was just a very positive person. Real estate, depending on who you ask and what avenue you take it to make your business, could be full of a lot of rejection and negative thoughts, things like that. So he helped me with honestly just like managing those things, like hey, you gotta, you know, if you're gonna do this particular avenue of real estate, it's gonna be filled with a lot of rejection. So you have to work on the internal Anthony to handle that and to maneuver through days of just doing the same thing over and over, which is very repetitious and very boring. So yeah, working and keeping a positive mindset, right? Not letting the factors such as the market, you know, other talk from other people about real estate affect how, you know, conversate about it, but don't let that affect me internally. So just keeping my mindset, reading, continuing to grow and like seeking solutions And, I think just being resourceful, flexible, I think those are really big pieces that I saw in them, and I wanted to emulate and adapt and kind of like soak into myself.
You would recommend finding some sort of mentor if you were in real estate?
I think honestly that's the reason why I'm like still in the game, because I mean, real estate's cool. If you don't get past the first 18 months, you're just a stat. The stat in real estate is it's about 18 months. People get licensed and they don't sell anything, and then they're out and they're looking for something to sustain their life. So I think importantly for me was I knew that stat, and I was like, I'm not going to be part of that. So it's cool. I made it past 18 months and we're still selling homes, which is tight. But yeah, I think if I didn't have those early conversations and surrounded myself with people who are like-minded, honestly don't think, this job's tough. So you want to have like positive people around you. And yeah, if you're thinking about real estate, I think that find someone that is ahead of you in the process. If they're open to sharing what they've done, their steps and systems, great. Do what you can to stay around them and to be of value to them so that they'd want you around. And
speak on that a little more.
Yeah, so
How can somebody be more of value? Because obviously, if you show value, it's desirable to have you around.
yeah, so like for me, I saw so much value in this in certain people. I said, hey, I don't have my license, but like, what can I do in the meantime to like dive into real estate? Hey, you can start making these calls, and then you could start getting your feet wet in that regard, right? Start talking to people about real estate, even though you had no license yet, you just can't sell it. So like that was a way. Another way is simply, I think, just asking them, like, hey, what do you need? Do you need like, I haven't done it personally, but I heard you, okay, like, hey, do you have any flyers you need handed out to this part of town? Like, I'll do it for you. Hey, like, I'll bring your coffee. Like, do what you can to just stay in close proximity to people you like, and see if you can just learn. And I think that's the value in a mentor. I mean, you could do it that way, or you could pay for one.
Yeah.
I think there's a few ways you can go about it. But yeah, no, I definitely attribute those early conversations and a lot of those learnings to like me being able to sustain, because it's a different world in real estate. If you're not selling a home, you're essentially not on a path to get paid. And money does sustain everyday life to life, everyday like things, but you do need to sell a home if you want to keep being in real estate.
Yeah, it seems like it's a fairly low barrier of entry. And this seems like there's a lot of realtors out there. And I've noticed high school friends that dove into it and they're not doing it anymore. They jump to something else that maybe is a little bit easier, or they go back to a desk job, or they go to solar, you know what I mean? So it definitely seems like it's easy to get in, but it's hard to stay in.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I set out as an intention for myself was, right, I jumped a couple different industries prior to coming here, and I saw a common thread between all of them, and it was, having pretty good service to people who I was in contact with. But I just honestly made an internal decision to myself that like this was end game, right? This was like, we're not going to seek out. And another conversation I had with another person well further along in the real estate game than me said, you want to get to a point mentally where like this is the only option. Like there is no like, I'm going to go find a job or I'm going to go apply for a job. It's like, this is it. Like, and if it's not working, like be flexible, figure out what your options are, put the work in and like make it happen. So yeah, I mean, for me, and I had no kids when I started, and now I have one, and then I have another one coming in like 6 days. So it's like, yeah, we got to make it work, and I think I just want to provide a life for them that I didn't, through real estate, see what that looks like. Yeah, I've seen a lot of turnover. I think if you're not in the right environment or have the right mindset, I mean, this thing could be pretty tough on some or on most, and it's just much easier to get a paycheck every 2 weeks. So
You almost have to get comfortable with a lot of no's, a lot of closed doors before you get one opportunity that can really set you up for a little bit of cushion before you dive back into a whole bunch of no's.
Yeah, and another thing I was told early on was like, hey, there's this thing called the real estate roller coaster, right? You sell a home, you make a good amount of money, and then you don't do anything, and then you like are in the bottom, and then you come across someone who you can help, and then you get paid because you serve them and you help them achieve a goal. And it's like, if you're not aware of that, I mean, the roller coaster, like the highs are great, right? But the lows, when you're on the tail end, and maybe you let your foot off the gas a little bit, and you're not serving families as you were when you wanted to get something lined up. I mean, that's not the best place to be. I think that's just tough for people, but you got to be aware of it. So most people don't know. So yeah, you just got to do what you do, whether you have things in the pipe or you don't, and kind of just be unattached to the result, right? If you have the opportunity to help someone and you guys are a great fit, perfect. Serve them to the utmost exceptional level that you can, help them achieve their goals. And if it doesn't work out, don't be attached to that outcome, but just continue with what daily task got you to have the opportunity. So that's big too, because there's a lot of steps in real estate. So you just move them through the steps and get them to the finish line. But if conditions change, etc., don't be attached to it. Just know you provided and were adding value where you could, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, you still know exactly what to do every day to create more opportunities.
Let's circle back to maybe somebody's watching, they're doing their own research for buying maybe their first home. They have a family, or they maybe have a family that's coming, and they just want to get in that position where they don't have to worry about renting. But maybe it's really hard to wrap their head around all the big numbers, down payments, fees, XYZ. Give me some stuff to chew on. Talk about maybe some financial tips and advices that you've come across of all the people that you've sold. Maybe some specific stories come to mind. Obviously, there's always a way. There's a lot of grants out there. There's a lot of things that the government can do to help. If you really want to get a home, you can get a home. Is that true?
Yeah, I think that if you really want to get a home, one of the first things that you have to do is really source how you're going to purchase it. Yes, you're going to need a down payment, etc. There's a lot of things, but if you're going to purchase a home all cash, if you have that opportunity, great. If you have to go through some sort of bank or mortgage lender, I think that's a conversation to have early on. And you just have to be willing to make that first step. And kind of how I think about it is like you're like opening the blinds, right? So at first you may not know anything about the mortgage world, but you just have to have those conversations to inform yourself. Like, hey, this is what down payment looks like. These are what costs in terms of closing a home that are gonna be towards the tail end. And you just have to start to inform yourself. And I think that all starts with a conversation. I think it's very cliche, like lead off, talk to a mortgage lender, have you talk to a bank. But honestly, it's so valuable. Like if you have the right person instructing you and informing you about that world, it's not as scary. If you have someone who's just throwing big numbers at you and not helping you walk through the process and understand and digest everything, yeah, it's a little scary. So, that's kind of one of the big pieces. There's so many grants out there, qualify for this, qualify for that. You won't know if you don't have that first conversation, right? So that's one thing, and honestly, just having, someone in terms of a real estate professional who you're comfortable with, and can provide the resources for you so that the process is very comfortable for the person purchasing the home, right? Pretty big. You want to make sure that you know everything. If there's any gray areas, that those gray areas are filled in and cleared up, and overall you start to grow and develop that relationship.
Do you have any funny stories about any of your previous clients? Maybe a couple hard no's, maybe an initial no, and then you did some creative way to follow back up and it turned into a yes. Maybe somebody that just cussed you out.
Yeah, I think one that sticks pretty deep in my mind is it was my second home that I was helping a family purchase, and we were out in the specific part of town, and before we even got into the home, we literally watched a skunk go into the yard before we went and toured the home. And it was a really nice home. I think it was a great option for them, but I was just so green, they didn't want to move forward with the house because of a skunk. And I was like what are the chances of a skunk coming into that yard? I'm like, I see animals around my house all the time. So that was pretty funny early on. I think, it's just wildlife. But then again, right, it wasn't my house. So it was a good learning experience to just not be attached. It's like, hey, if that's not the house, it's their decision. And it just came back to the skunk. We ended up not getting that house, and we found even better opportunity for them, something that fit better, was closer to their work and for their children, and it was great. Better deal too. So I think also everything happens for a reason. That maybe wasn't the one. Thanks, skunk. And yeah, they're super happy over a year and a half in their home, and they're still stoked on it. So that's nice. That was a funny one, at least to me personally. I don't know. Other people are gonna start looking for skunks now when we're looking at homes. How do you get rid of skunks? I don't know. I think I've come across a few skunks in my life, or you have but I'm just geez, what are the chances?
That's weird that they even wanted to consider it after that. But is a no a no?
I think a no is a not right now. Maybe the plans of buying or selling are just not in the cards right now. Is it off the table completely? I don't know, maybe, right? I think people go about receiving and interpreting a no in so many different ways, but that's just what I've developed. It just might not be a right now, might not be the right timing. Maybe there's XYZ that needs to happen before a no could be a maybe. Maybe could turn into yes. So, honestly, if I get a maybe, I'm pretty stoked, because maybe could turn into a yes. But also, if it doesn't, great. When that time comes, we're still in contact and it's a yes. We still have the opportunity. If it never comes, great. There's other families to help. So.
How do you set yourself apart as a realtor? How have you personally set yourself apart?
I think personally, I enjoy. Oh, I like to do the things that other people don't do. One thing I've heard from a lot of people who've been in the industry longer than me is you do the hard things for 5 years, and then you should have a pretty good result after that 5 year point. So it's just continuing to do the repetitious things daily, on the good days and the bad days, mastering repetitious boredom, right? Because I make a lot of calls whenever I'm in the office, and it's not super stellar. But you make best of it on the good days when you feel like it, and on the bad days when you don't feel like it, continue to do it. And I think when people look at me and they hire me, it's like, hey, you're gonna get someone pretty relentless. Cool story. I think that finally came to fruition just this year. Met a family probably over a year ago. Cool guy, working with a bunch of agents, had options, didn't think much about it. Kept in touch with him, met him in person. Over the span of probably like 3 months, all those other realtors, since he wasn't making any final decisions, they kind of fell off, and eventually it was just me and him. And he was very specific as to where he wanted to purchase a home for his family, because he wanted, maybe not a total forever home, but he wanted enough of a home to where his kids could go through elementary school, middle school, and high school in a particular part of town, and that's how specific he was. And what ended up happening was we got him so many opportunities in that part of town because of how specific he was. Both homes that were on the market, on Zillow, Redfin, things like that, those platforms. But more importantly, we were able to get him into homes that were not on the market, where a homeowner was like, yes, I would sell my home for the right price. And then we had family A, hey, this is a home in your area with these schools. They're willing to sell it. And we were actually able to walk 4 off-market properties for him, and just kind of bring that value to him over time. And we ended up finding a home that was on the market for him. It was perfect. The selling party was amazing. It worked out well. We connected the dots. And now his kids have a 5-minute walk to elementary school, 7-minute walk to the middle school, and then I think like a 5-minute drive to the high school. He's like, hey, we're gonna be here for 10 plus years. Thank you. So yeah, it was super cool. Took about 1.5 years, and wrote super nice review, just kind of detailing everything we put in. I think it was a great representation of like my efforts. If you trust me, I trust you. Like, this is what we could do, and we found it in the place that he wanted, and invites me over for coffee, and they're a cool family. So like that was sick. But not many people stick around for 1.5 years or do the work, right, to get the opportunities for their clients. Even though the off-market ones didn't work out, man, he was super thankful. Like, hey, this checks off 3 out of the 4 boxes. We're getting closer. Okay, great. Like, let's make these adjustments, and then let's get closer to the one. But yeah, at the end of the day, he put his trust in me completely, and we got it done. That's pretty hype.
Teach somebody that's watching that maybe is tuned into this part of the video and they're curious. They're curious about buying a home, obviously, but they just don't know where to start, how to start. Can you provide for them a quick game plan, maybe like a 5-step thing? I'm watching I want to buy a home, don't know where to start, don't know how to start, I kind of know a little bit, I'm looking for a realtor.
Yeah.
Like, give me 5 things that I should maybe aim for and look for to do.
Yeah. So number one, I think find something you're comfortable with in terms of a realtor. Maybe have 2 or 3 options. Or just have me. Either one's fine. But also, if you have 2 or 3 options, just know that I'm pretty competitive. So, I do believe that I am the best option for people. Not everyone, but for most. Definitely can be a resource, adapt, help them achieve their goals. So have someone, trusted resource in that department, real estate professional that you believe can get the job done and you're comfortable with. Number 2, I would, as much as people don't like to have that conversation, I would uncover the blinds from what the mortgage world looks like, or what the financing will have to look like to secure your property. I think that's very important. See what the financial end in terms of savings and assets and things like that for the down payment money. Uncover that. Start to just get comfortable with that as number 3. Number 4, I would just start to figure out. It could be the dreaming phase. Like, what do you want? What do you need? What are some non-negotiables? What are some things that you're willing to bend a little bit for if we find the right property? And number 5, don't settle. I think that's something. If you want something, great, we'll find it. Just know, have your dream in terms of buying a home. Could we potentially walk into the first home, it'd be your dream home, and you secure it, and you're happy for 7 to 10 years? I mean, absolutely. That's the dream. That's the goal. That's the intention. But also know that it could maybe take 1 or 2 moves to get you into that one you're going to stay forever. Right? You got to get your foot in the game, and then you can make moves when you're in. Right? But if you're on the sidelines, always looking in, waiting for the one, and not making a move and committing, right, that could also lead to just being more of a difficult time. Yeah, that'd be cool. But if you don't get past 1 or 2, you gotta, 1 or 2 are pretty important. I think find a trusted partner. Figure out what the finances are looking like, what you're comfortable with, and I think from there it organically leads into 3, 4, 5. So let me know.
Are there any stigmas about realtors that maybe aren't true? Some I know, like, one thing that I've heard are realtors, they just want to try and suck out some extra money from people that are maybe not aware of, like, the full picture of the finances, or they just don't really have experience in home buying. Some people just don't like working with realtors because of that fact alone. Are there any other stigmas or anything that you feel like are just stupid? Because I think it's kind of dumb, just personally. Obviously it's a job created for a reason, like realtors. Obviously there's, just like any other professional, there's good realtors, there's bad realtors. There's realtors with good intentions, there's realtors with bad intentions.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. So I think a couple that come across for me, of course, everyone can do their due diligence, become a realtor, but what they do afterwards, and are they continuing to learn about the market? Are they continuing to move their business forward and grow to a professional standpoint? I mean, that's up to them, right? You can get a license, you can sell a home immediately, right? But do you provide and lay out a service for someone? That's what varies. So I think one thing for me is, when people start to say, one thing is like, hey, realtors get paid too much. I'm like, okay, like, where does that come from? Like, did you have a poor experience? Did you not get a home? Did you have a poor experience selling your home? Like, did a family member have a poor experience? Now, could you buy and sell a home without a realtor? Absolutely. And if you can do that, kudos, go for it. But I think just, maybe the value wasn't completely displayed on the front end as to maybe what services rendered are actually gonna help and enhance the experience. Could you do anything without, professional? Sure. But just the level of work and service you'll get could differ drastically. Could you represent yourself in a purchase? 100%. You buy directly from a seller, from a homeowner? Absolutely. Could you sell directly to a buyer as a homeowner? Yeah. But there's a lot that goes into it. Maybe that just wasn't perceived to those two parties, and that's something is just kind of providing the information. And if they have all that information and then choose to move forward, maybe without a realtor, okay, hey, you at least gathered and did your due diligence. I had the opportunity to inform you on information, and if you still make that informed decision, great, like all power to you. But I think that's where a lot of it stemmed from. Maybe it was a poor experience. Maybe there was just still a lot of gray area regarding what the services are. And yeah, there's just a lot of unknown there. Maybe that's what caused that stigma. I think another one that's pretty funny is, I don't know, like, I love Hondas. Like as a realtor, like I probably won't have a G-Wagon or a Mercedes or a Benz. Like the dream car is a Civic Type R or a Nissan Skyline from Japan. So like 3 to 5 years, you'll probably see me pulling up in a, I don't know, 90s Japanese car. I think that piece is just so funny because, I pull up in a Honda Civic SI, 6-speed manual. It's a legendary car. Probably pass it on to my kid. Axel, you're welcome. But it's like I don't have a need to like drive the fancy car. Like people think realtors have like Lambo. I don't know. I don't think I'll end up buying Lambos or Ferraris. Maybe that'll change. I don't know. I'll probably have a roster of like 90s Honda Civics and Japanese cars that are right-hand drive and just some like tuner cars that I probably worked on myself. So I think that's funny because, you could judge a book by its cover, but again, the service, like I will pull up in a Skyline one day. And we'll still sell your home for the most money, or you'll get the best deal on the buy. And then I'll drive off in my Nissan Skyline with a right-hand drive. So I think that's a funny one, because yeah, I don't think I'll ever not have one of those cars. It's just my personality. Like I love it. They're reliable. They've never done me wrong. Why would I fix it if it's not broken? So. I think the last one is, I think those are the only two. Those are the two top ones over the years of selling. It's just, yeah, like what do you do? Why aren't you driving a nicer car? I'm just like, because I don't want to. I love manual cars. Stick shift for life.
I like it.
Yeah.
Let's end with this. It's a two-folded question.
Okay.
Okay, so for the first one's directed to maybe somebody that is really new into real estate, like they're real, like being a realtor. Maybe they're new into being a realtor, or they're exploring becoming a realtor because of all the amazing perks that comes with the job. Mm-hmm. Give me some sharp advice. Give me something sharp that you either wish you had somebody tell you sharply, or you've heard this and it maybe almost rubbed you the wrong way, but it just like was like, wow, I really needed to hear this.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that come to mind. Number one, I think be very clear on um, what kind of business you want to run. What are your standards? What do you want your week to look like? What is your vision for coming into real estate? Be clear, write it down a couple times, see if it changes, and then take that and go out and just see who fits that mold. Like who can you get close to that has or gone before you and actually executed on that plan or close to it. Figure out, talk to a couple people. Don't jump on the shiny object. Don't jump for the fancy places. Like find something that actually fits you personally. And number three is be prepared to put the work in, right? Like it's not an overnight success, although people will be like, hey, you did XYZ, you sold a house on one day, but they didn't see the year and a half before working with the family and going through that. Just be willing to put in the work and just add value as much as you can. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, don't be attached to it. Don't let it affect you. Keep doing what you got to do, and just know like the right people will come across your path that you can help and service to the utmost extent. They'll be thankful, and then if something doesn't work, like keep going. I think that's pretty valuable for someone new. Let's see, what else? What else would I tell myself?
When it feels like you're about to consider a career change as a seasoned realtor, what do you tell yourself?
Like if I was, what do you mean?
You haven't sold a home in 6, 7 months, 8 months, maybe close to a year.
Yeah.
Just like, shoot, man, maybe.
Yeah. I think if I was at that point, haven't sold anything, couple questions I'd ask myself is like, what changed in myself internally? Like, what am I doing differently? Am I in a different mind space than I was when I was selling homes easily? What has to change for me in order to get back into that space? Because like I said earlier, I mean, this is end game. So if I go a whole year without selling, I think something happened to me internally. I don't think it was an external factor. I think it was probably something internal. Yeah.
Okay. Second question of that follow-up. Give a first-time home buyer, whether they're married, single, maybe they're just trying to build a real estate portfolio.
Yeah.
18 years old, maybe 19, maybe 20, doesn't matter what age they are.
Yeah.
Give me that sharp advice I need to hear.
Yeah. I think number one is set a goal. Like, what's your goal? Do you want to buy a home? Do you want to buy a home, and how long? Right? Give yourself make a dream, put it down, make it a goal. Write it down, put it somewhere, put it on the fridge. Like if that's your goal, set it. Number two is don't stop till you achieve it, right? If you don't have enough money, save the money. If you don't have the credit score, do the steps to get the credit score where it needs to be, and then proceed forward with the process. Just don't be discouraged, and I think figure out what you're comfortable with in terms of payment. Get to that point, get very clear, double check it, triple check it if you want to, and then pull the trigger. I think one thing that floats around in the industry is, quit timing the market, but rather have time in the market. So, whenever you can afford it, that's the best time to buy. If you don't think you afford, buy something and then make a move after being in the market for two years, and have someone who can strategically work with you to make the next move very easy and comfortable. So, yeah, that's my advice.
I like it, man.
Yeah.
Good job.
Cheers.
I felt like that was really good, man.
I could tell like couple extended rants on the front end, but I think, you know, got those out. We're good.
That's the purpose of like these long form things, though. You know
Yeah.
what I mean, like you're supposed to go in depth for these things.
Yeah.
So
That was cool though. Honestly, if I'm being super honest, when you cut it and edit it, I don't want to watch it.
that's fine. Don't. If you don't want to watch, don't.
Send it out there into the
Send it
world.
out there, man, and, yeah, that's completely fine.
Send it out there.
I like rewatching my reels, man. Like,
Yeah, maybe I'll get there, maybe I won't, but I think if
You probably can learn some stuff though. That's one thing that somebody told me about.
What?
Just like even short form or anything in general.
yeah.
If you watch yourself over and over again, you will learn how to communicate better. You learn how to deliver
Yeah.
messages better.
Well, I think it's like when I listen to my own calls, right? No one wants to listen to the calls that suck. You want to listen to the good ones, but even the good ones, there are errors and things like that. So that's what I'm saying. I'll get to the point for sure.
Yeah.
But I think if you send me the first one and I watch it, I'll be like, don't put this out. So don't send me the first. Maybe send me the fifth one.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
If you think it's a 7 out of 10, put it out.
Yeah. Well, nonetheless, if it's a 2 out of 10, we're putting it out anyway, man.
Yeah, you're right.
You
Just
look-
don't tell me it's a 2 out of 10.
No. I think just like
We just got to stack it.
subjective. I think it was great. I think
Yeah,
you're
it's
very
cool.
clear.
Yeah.
I think you look good. You look sharp. I think you look and sound like you know what you're talking about.
I definitely feel like I'm in that point where like
Yeah.
like older client, younger client, like, you know, investor, a lot of money, maybe, I don't know, billionaire, who knows? I don't even know if I've talked to a billionaire before, but that'd be tight. Not yet. But I definitely feel like I can at least get into the room, right? First, it was just about getting in the room. Now I'm like, I can get into the room
Yeah.
with anyone and help them and figure out their goals and clear it up and be a great option for people moving in real estate. You know, if you asked me that like a year ago, I'd be like, I don't really know, still gotta ask, still some fuzzy parts. I don't know everything, but I think I know enough to maneuver with pretty much anyone, which is nice. I definitely feel that internally.
Yeah. What was the most expensive house that you've ever sold?
1.23 million. Yeah, that was sick.
That's nice.
That was a dude in the same in the neighborhood where his daughters can walk to school. That was a year and a half. That was gnarly. What?
In San Diego?
Yeah. Yep. Forest Ranch.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It was a heater. He loved it. So yeah, I mean that was like, you know, year and a half. A lot of opportunities for other people to come in and kind of show their benefits. But I think overall, like the actions like won his trust over. It's like, hey, dude, you can choose someone else, but you're not gonna find a harder worker. You might, but the chances are you won't.
Yeah, and I think that's such a valuable just mindset. Like I feel like
Well, I think that's one thing I learned. It's like, hey, I'll get myself in the room, and if there's a better option than me, go for it. There's enough business around here. There's no lack of business. Like people are still selling houses in the markets like this. Like, what are you complaining about? Like how many listings just came on the market today? That's X amount of conversations you weren't in. Go get in those conversations. Go get in those interviews. So it's like just going from a lack mindset to abundance.
good job, dude. That's great.
Sick.